Let's talk Jets football with a blast from the past. Former Jets wide receiver Quincy Enunwa. All right, Quincy, what's going on, man? As another former wide receiver myself, bro, I've been talking with basketball players and beat writers all day. Finally, got another athlete on. What's going on, man?
I appreciate you having me on, man. You know, we the best athletes on the field at all times.
Absolutely, man. All right, so let's have a little fun here. Kind of run it back. Take it back to the old days. The year is 2014. It's the sixth round. The Jets select you with the 209th pick. I need a draft day story, man. Give us some memories.
I might have one of the best stories, man. That day, actually, I graduated from college, so I was getting my degree, walking the stage, and actually fielding phone calls. There were scouts calling me like, "Hey, listen, we might pick you here. We might pick you here. Be prepared." Blah blah blah. All that good stuff that they try to tell you. And then I ended up going back. We had a room set up for us, and we got nice and relaxed. Had some pizza, some drinks, and all those different things. And I got the call with my family all surrounding me.
What was your like surreal I'm in the NFL moment? Was it rookie camp, OTAs with the vets? What's your I've arrived moment?
I think it was, and I got the clip still on my phone. Mike Vick was the quarterback at that time.
Mm.
Well, you know, he was on the team. So I was running some routes, running some reps, and I had a nice seam ball and he threw it and I dove to catch the ball. And you know, that's one of those things you grow up watching Mike Vick,
Yep.
obviously playing with him in Madden. So one of my favorite moments, my definitely I made it to NFL moment.
I remember my rookie year, we reported for rookie camp. I wore a suit. So
Mm.
automatically I'm an undrafted free agent. They're looking at me like this, you may not even be here tomorrow. What you wearing a suit for? I hope that was on layaway, but I'm walking by to go get my physical, and I guess Eli Manning had just worked out, and I just stopped and I'm looking at him like, yo, that's Eli Manning. And he like
Right.
stopped and gave me that Eli face, like, who is this cat? And I was just like, all right, let me just keep it moving. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was, I mean, it's crazy how it's like you talk about Michael Vick, Eli Manning, how it's like guys you grew up watching, guys you grew up playing Madden with. Now it's like your locker's next to mine or you're within the same vicinity of me. So I mean it's one of those surreal moments I tell people all the time.
Absolutely.
Fast forward a little bit more in your career, man. 2016, you had yourself a career year, 58 catches, 4 touchdowns, but you guys only won 4 games that season.
Yeah.
So talk about have the highs and lows of one having a career year, but at the same time, what's that 12 losses on the year?
Yeah, it's tough, and I mean, you know, I think the hardest thing is obviously you want to celebrate your individual success, but ultimately this is a team game. So, you know, you got to kind of find your time to celebrate in the off season, right? And during the season, just try to put your head down and do as best as you can for the team. You know, those tough years, and I had a few of them, you know, with the Jets. You just kind of figure out how to kind of make sure that you are doing your best on the field.
You talk about those tough years. Garrett Wilson is a guy who continues to have career year after career year, but his first 3 seasons have been complete tough seasons. What advice would you give to him? Let's say he was a rookie coming in, you had to be the big homie, kind of mentor him. What advice would you give him, going into his fourth year to where he may be a little frustrated, but at the same time, you got Justin Fields coming in, you got a new regime. How would you mentor and handle a Garrett Wilson?
Yeah, honestly, I would just tell him to keep his head down. I mean, there's not much you can do, right? Because all that outside stuff, all the record and all those different things don't really affect your play. Ultimately, you got to go out there and do what you need to do. And he knows he's a baller, man. I think everybody kind of knows that. And I think his love for the game shows through. He has a lot of passion. You see it every time he makes a big play. He's so expressive, right? So I don't know if there's ever really anything you got to say to a guy like that. Like no matter what happens, he's gonna love the game. So as long as he continues to do that or the win-loss record that won't even matter to him.
Where would you put him right now in terms of ranking, in terms of the top wide receivers in the
Oh,
league? Where would you put him right now, and then where would you put him if he had like a top 10 quarterback, and hoping Justin Fields
ooh,
can be that quarterback?
that's a good question. I mean, you know, just off the like my first thought is probably top 20, 25, right? Like I know he's
Yeah,
he's definitely he's a starter in this league. He's a bona fide number one. There's nothing that could change my mind about that. He's an acrobat. He's
yeah.
explosive, right? The only thing that I feel like he hasn't been able to show is being able to get down the field. But he can get down the field if you give him a 5 yard pass, right?
Yep.
So I think if you give him somebody that can get him to be able to do all those different things, I mean, he has the skill level to be top 15, top 10, right? Because of just the ability that he has. If you have a guy that can do those type of things that he can do, I mean, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, I feel like he could even fall into that top 10 to top 5 range as well. I mean,
Absolutely.
you need a quarterback. Like in this league,
Yeah.
you have to have consistency at the quarterback position. And I mean, a guy like that who, like you said, he can run the entire tree. The guy, he's wiggly. He can catch a 5 yarder, turn it into 50. That's who I want to
Yeah.
throw the football to. And I'm hoping that he and Justin Fields can kind of emulate that same success that they had down at Ohio State. So your boy, Sam Darnold, he's a guy that had
Yeah.
himself a resurgence of a career. He just got paid in the offseason to be the
Yeah.
Seahawks full-time QB1. Are you excited that people are finally putting some respect on Sam Darnold's name? And like, what was he like in the
Yeah.
locker room during those years you were with him?
Yeah, so I would say I'm definitely happy for him and I'm proud of him. I think the biggest thing with Sam was you could see all the physical talents. I mean, there were so many times where he would make a throw and be like, oh yeah, this guy got it, you know, but I think he was just so young and a lot of the offense was a little bit too much on his plate at that time. So he never got a chance. On top of the fact that me as a weapon and a couple other guys had injuries, Sam had injuries, he had other things going on that kind of limited his ability to stay on the field long term. So it's good to see that he's kind of been learning and growing and studying through all the stops that he's had, because now you get to see not only the physical ability, but also the mental acumen that he's really developed over the years. But man, he was a goofy guy, man. He puts on like he's so serious, but man, that guy loves to have fun, and that's what I appreciate about him is that when it's time to work, you see it on the field, but off the field, man, he was a kid and he was a rookie, so it made sense.
Same with Eli Manning, man. He had that straight, serious face all the time. Now, I mean, the dude is he's all over the place when it comes
Right.
to just him being him. And it's like I feel as though New York branded quarterbacks can't. I mean, New York quarterbacks can't show that
Yeah.
side of them, the kind of the raw, funny side, because it's like you're a QB1. That's it.
Got to
You
be
have to play.
generals.
You got to be a quarterback. Absolutely. So the Jets got a new regime in there. As a former player who went from Todd Bowles to Adam Gase, like what's that like in terms of what the players need to see from a head coach and front office to completely buy in?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing, honestly, is the leadership, right? The guys that are older, that have played in a while, they got to be the ones that kind of set the tone and say, like, hey, listen, I really believe in this guy. If you don't have the leaders on your side, then it's really hard to get going. I've seen that kind of change for coaches where, they weren't able to get the guys that, really the rest of the team looked to for leadership. They didn't have them on their side. And so then it kind of is really hard as a coach. Like, I think you can have a certain presence,
Yep.
but it can only go so far. And so I think for AG, what I like about him is that you can tell he's no nonsense, right? And so I think once he gets in the building, or now that he is in the building, he's going to make sure that the guys around him understand, like, listen, man, we are trying to get to the promised land, and there's a certain things that I want us to do. The biggest thing that I appreciate about him is that he doesn't let things get out, right? Like I think over the years, because I've had some leaks and stuff like that, I find it hard to imagine that he's going to allow that to happen, right? Like whatever comes out, he wants it to come out.
Yeah, and that's one thing. That's why I respect Darren Muji, when he was asked about Aaron Rodgers' comments on Pat
Right.
McAfee, he didn't even touch it. He just said,
Yeah.
"Let's move on," and that's the NFL. It's like I don't got no time for any nonsense, and that's what I feel as though AG is going to bring. And man, we kind of to briefly go back to receivers and us being the greatest people on earth. We kind of talked about some of the attributes that Garrett Wilson has. What would you say were your best attributes at receiver?
I would say my biggest thing was toughness, right? Like I think when I got the ball, everybody knew that you better get out the way. Like I was not a guy that was too much finesse. For me, it was way more about going out there and making you feel my presence. I knew I was a bigger guy, but I was also had some speed with me. So I kind of thought of myself like a freight train, right? Like nobody wants to get in my way. So that was my mentality, right? Like if you are in my way, I got to run through you. And I know that most of the DBs are human, right? Nobody wants to get hurt. So most times they're going to try to do a little bit of self-perseverance. Now there were some guys, one guy in particular, Quandre Diggs, he definitely came out there and was ready for the, for the battle. But, over my whole career, it was just basically going out there and being physical.
That sounds like a guy that's going into his second year, Malachi Corley. He didn't
Yeah.
have that much opportunity last season to really show what he can do. The Jets wide receiver two position is wide open right now.
hmm
So again, put the big homie hat on. What would you
hmm
say to Malachi this offseason, like in terms of what he needs to show to lock up that receiver position on the opposite side of Garrett Wilson?
Yeah, that's so for him, I think the biggest thing, just from watching him, I got an opportunity to, watch training camp and, watch the practices. He's gonna have to just get a little bit better at understanding routes, understanding his leverage. He's got all the tools once he gets the ball in his hand, but he has to get in the positions before that, right? And so I think a lot of guys, especially from the smaller schools, they don't always have that route tree developed. And him especially, he was more of a guy that they used a lot in gadget plays because they didn't have a lot of weapons. So he comes into the Jets now and he's got to kind of figure out, okay, I got to learn the route tree in the right way. I got to learn how to use my speed in the right way, understanding tempo, understanding how I'm getting off the field, off the ball. There's so many different things that he kind of has to develop. But I think one thing I know he has is the mental ability to learn all those things. So it'll just be a little bit of a process, but it's there for him.
I tell people all the time that learning curve when it comes to coming in and playing receiver, like you see a difference in a knockoff in terms of who's NFL ready from, the
Yeah.
Bama boys, the Ohio States,
Ohio
the
State.
LSU guys. But then when you get a guy from a FAU or a UMass, we got to
Mhm.
come in and learn things like attacking blind spots, when to sit down in the first window of zone versus the second window. It's
Right.
it's an art form, but when that picks up with the natural talent that a Malachi Corley has, he's going to be a dog. Just to wrap this up, man, I was there when AG Aaron Glenn was introduced as the Jets' new head coach. Wayne Corbett, guys like Damian Woody, you heard all these
Yeah.
former Jets talk about how excited they are that Aaron Glenn is going to be the new head coach, new regime. It's a new day out there in Florham Park. Just kind of talk to us about, what you and other players have kind of talked about in terms of your excitement for where
Yeah.
this franchise can go now.
Yeah, I think I could probably speak for everybody and say they're excited. I think just the idea of having a former player, a number one draft pick, right, a guy that played DB at a high level, coming here and kind of shifting kind of the culture, right? He's bringing in a different culture from a winning team. He obviously has his own pedigree from being a scout to being a coach, from being a player, all those different things and coming in. But he's also coming from a Lions team that really changed the scope of their future, right? Like the Lions had not had this much success in a while coming off of Patricia. You see what they're getting done now. So the hope is that you have AG come here and just I think the first few interviews that he's had, he's really shown that he's really meaning business. So I think we're all looking forward to seeing how that kind of comes out on the field.
If they asked you to come in and kind of help coach or volunteer coach, mentor some of the receivers, would you do it?
I'll definitely step in. The receiver coach right now actually was my receiver coach. And one little tidbit is AG was one of the main scouts when I was coming out in the draft. So I have a little relationship with him as well.
Oh, so that's why he jumped on the table to get you
Yeah,
drafted.
yeah,
I feel it. All right, all right. I wish I
definitely.
could have that same story. I went undrafted. No one jumped on the table for me.
Man. Hey, listen, man, making it is all that
That's
matters.
all that matters, man. Hey, I appreciate you hopping on. And if you're ever in New York, man, come on in studio.
Of course.